Prime Minister Starmer, welcome to China. This is the third time that we engage with each other.
President Xi, on behalf of the entire delegation, can I thank you for such a warm welcome to China. As you have said, this is the first visit by a UK Prime Minister in 8 years. To my mind, that's been far too long, and I'm very pleased to be the Prime Minister that comes here for the first time in 8 years. Not in fact my first visit, but my second visit to China, so it's very good to be back here.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer delivered a blunt message in Beijing, saying that, like it or not, China matters deeply to the UK. Meeting President Xi Jinping in Beijing, Starmer said closer engagement could strengthen both security and economic cooperation. He signaled a reset in UK-China ties, calling for a more sophisticated and pragmatic relationship.
Prime Minister, your impressions of President Xi, is he someone you can do business with?
Yes, we had a very good, productive session with real concrete outcomes, and it was a real strengthening of the relationship, and that's in the national interest because, of course, there are huge opportunities here in China. It's the second biggest economy in the world, and that's why we've got such a big business delegation. A lot of the discussion was about how we open up access for those opportunities, focusing, as I always do, on how is this going to be delivered back in the United Kingdom, how does it benefit people back at home. And we made some really good progress on tariffs for whiskey, on visa-free travel to China, and on information exchange and cooperation on irregular migration, focusing particularly on small boats and engine parts. So a very good constructive meeting with real outcomes, and that's very much in our national interest.
Yeah, tell us more about those concrete outcomes as you describe them, say on visa-free travel. What in specific terms have you agreed?
Well, we've agreed that on tariffs for whiskey, we're looking at how they're to be reduced, what the time frame is, visa-free travel, how far, how much, and when that can start, and on the information exchange on small boats, the cooperation that we need within a dialogue actually about greater strategic focus on security and defence. But for us, it's very important on small boats that we get our arms around the engines that are being used in those small boats. So on all those three areas, but they're examples of a much wider opening of access for business that we discussed at great length in terms of the fact that after 8 years, this is the first visit by a Prime Minister, and we wanted to make sure that we've got that strategic approach on all of these issues.
President Xi's words and his tone seemed warm. What do you say to folk back home who might feel a bit squeamish about that?
Well, we did have a good meeting, and a long meeting as well. We had the formal parts, we had some informal parts, and then we continued over lunch. And so the relationship is in a good place, a strong place. And what I'd say to everybody here is that I always act in our national interest. And therefore the question for me is, how does this accelerate and deliver back at home? I know that whatever's going on in the world, the most important thing to the vast majority of people is the cost of living. So opening up access to business, opportunities, seizing those opportunities, which then gets reflected in better businesses, in jobs, in price reductions at home, really, really matter. And so we made real progress on all of those areas.
Starmer-Xi talks marked the first visit by a British Prime Minister to China in 8 years after a long diplomatic freeze. Starmer spent nearly 3 hours with Xi across a formal summit and lunch, reflecting the importance both sides placed on the meeting. Xi acknowledged past twists and turns in relations and said they had not served the interests of either nation. The Chinese president added that Beijing was ready to pursue a stable and long-term partnership with Britain.
Prime Minister Starmer, welcome to China. This is the third time that we engage with each other. It is also the first visit by the British Prime Minister after 8 years. In previous years, China-UK relations went through some twists and turns. It did not serve the interests of our two countries. Right now, the world is both fluid and turbulent. China and the UK are two permanent members of the UN Security Council and two major economies in the world. Be it for the sake of world peace and stability, or for our two countries' economies and people's livelihoods, it is imperative for us to strengthen dialogue and cooperation. In the past, Labour governments made important contributions to the growth of China-UK relations. You've publicly said that China is an opportunity and that dealing with China is not a choice, but a necessity. I commend these words. China stands ready to develop with the UK a long-term and consistent, comprehensive strategic partnership. It will benefit our two peoples and the wider world. Mr. Prime Minister, your visit this time has drawn a lot of attention. Sometimes good things take time. As long as it is the right thing that serves the fundamental interests of the country and the people, then as leaders, we should not shy away from difficulties and we should press ahead with fortitude. In China, we say one should range far your eye over long vistas. As long as we take a broad perspective, rise above differences, and respect each other, then we will prove ourselves able to stand the test of history. The Chinese Spring Festival is just around the corner. This coming Lunar New Year will be the year of the horse. So I believe your visit this time, at this moment, is a sign of auspiciousness, and our cooperation will also get off to a head start and open up new prospects for China-UK relations and our cooperation. Please also convey my cordial greetings to His Majesty King Charles III. Thank you.
Starmer said discussions with China had made progress on reducing tariffs affecting British whiskey exports. Xi said that China is willing to actively consider granting unilateral visa waivers to British people. Starmer described the relationship as being in a strong place following what he called warm and constructive talks. The two leaders also bonded over soccer and culture, discussing English Premier League clubs and Shakespeare. Starmer gifted Xi a football from a Manchester United match, a nod to the Chinese leader's favorite team. The visit included more than 50 British business leaders, underlining London's focus on economic growth.
President Xi, on behalf of the entire delegation, can I thank you for such a warm welcome to China. As you have said, this is the first visit by a UK Prime Minister in 8 years. To my mind, that's been far too long, and I'm very pleased to be the Prime Minister that comes here for the first time in 8 years. Not in fact my first visit, but my second visit to China, so it's very good to be back here. I'm delighted that I have a very strong delegation with me, all my top advisors, top ministers, but also a big delegation. We have nearly 60 great British businesses and cultural organisations travelling with us. And these businesses, these organisations represent the best of Britain. And what they want, and what I want, is to grow and expand in China, taking advantage of all that you have to offer, whilst delivering growth and jobs for the British people back at home. And it's with the British people in mind that I am here today. I made a promise 18 months ago when we were elected into government that I would make Britain face outward again, because as we all know, events abroad affect everything that happens back in our home countries, from prices on the supermarket shelves to how secure we feel. Our international partnerships help us deliver the security and prosperity the British people deserve. And that is why I've long been clear that the UK and China need a long-term, consistent and comprehensive strategic partnership. That's what we discussed when we met in Rio in the G20. We are G20 economies. We're fellow members of the United Nations Security Council, and our trading relationships support hundreds of thousands of jobs in each other's countries and have gone on for a very, very long history. China is a vital player on the global stage, and it's vital that we build a more sophisticated relationship where we can identify opportunities to collaborate, but of course also allow a meaningful dialogue on areas where we disagree. That is the only way to make progress. And I look forward to taking our relationship further, focused on delivering growth and security for Britain. My only misgiving is that the visit is so short, because the feeling of the delegation is that the more they can see of China, the better. But I think that working together on issues like climate change, global stability, during challenging times for the world, is precisely what we should be doing as we build this relationship in the way that I've described. So thank you again for your very warm welcome. It's much appreciated by me and the entire delegation.
The visit marks the first by a British Prime Minister in 8 years and comes with a large business and cultural delegation. The timing is significant, coming amid a global trade shock triggered by sweeping U.S. tariff threats. U.S. President Donald Trump's aggressive trade posture has rattled markets, disrupted supply chains, and unsettled allies. As Washington turns inward, Western nations are reassessing economic exposure in a fragmented global economy. Starmer is the fourth allied leader to visit Beijing this month, following counterparts from Canada, South Korea, and Finland. Germany is expected next, signaling growing recognition of China's central role in global trade and investment. Trump has openly bristled at allies engaging China, recently warning Canada against deeper economic ties.